18th, each with that by the District Board of Education. The time is 5:30 p.m. Please be advised that the outcome at the direction of the chairman. Item 1.2, the Pledge of Allegiance. We now invite our president to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Item 1.3 adopted the agenda. There are changes to the agenda. We are fully item 98. Are there any other board reports to change the agenda? Of the agenda with the amendment. Item 98. Second of Ms. Coleman, all of the favors of the aye. Follow the full safety. Item 1.4, student presentation. I would like to invite Dr. Kelly Bush to the podium to introduce the student presentation. And then budgets contribute very, very special individuals. We are going to begin first with Tom Reed Hendon and John Cross on special ownership. Charlotte. Would you like to do it's on the street and on street area. My family, and the concept of the station concept. The concept of general shell. The way we keep up and he also had manager without I do wish I did a great job. Apparently last yeah, we had two teams from our field. There are students how much better. Due to long now it's one of the showcase. Another two of English schools for their channel. Thank you for all the better. In the back of the better speed. We can have the thank you. We do the spectacular chat. Shouldn't it get we have great business plan, relevant sound, and ability also better sound together. Try 7 3 American. Fine. Thank you thank you to all the teachers you are awesome. Thank you for showing up everything that I'm about. I'm sure office all the show. I always prepare very step to take concern for the spouse. Thank you, Laura. She's very to the Thank you very much, and John Hopewell. That represented levels, they only come down. Let's give them maybe more benefit of our commissioner of the board, who can be included. I never did again. My name is Leon Straw, and I'm here to start. I'm excited to share this transaction with and okay. Of September 23rd, we can start and to Houston annual debate tree in the book. During this retreat, our students attended great problems and the from scale such as coaching creativity and cultivating and leadership. Their crucial skills and that help them become the best person. On October 6th, this was an effort factor plan, and it was a blast. Kona Ice joined us to serve various flavors for students at a great time, enjoying finding out the things. Looking ahead, our biggest pop track event is scheduled November 30th and it's not scheduled to be there. It should be a great fun crowd for our students and players. After this program is hosting college and experience, which includes tournament content. We're also performing breast cancer awareness project every Friday with October. Speaking of Friday, this Friday is professional, and we are having our first dance back to school following the preparation for new finalists and finals to be in the world. As we move into the future, recognition is next. We will be raising awareness, taking a stand, the talk conducted for the and expect to find something scarce information to come out. Admission is to all. This is one family not admission. On November 2nd, we're celebrating the annual party during the restaurant in the world of sport, basketball, their show showed the dedication and congratulate students and the baby. Our volleyball teams engaged with the awesome gender. November 2nd, voted to go to stop on the next movie. Cross-country initiatives, better English, but education mission. They tune to all of our companies. And for the development of the president and their city travel activity. Encouraging to get involved in participation part of the movement. Thank you for your attention to the board. And thank you so much for many of that. Here to represent the minority.
Two methods. Here's our operations. Congratulations to Ben those. And record successful. Why not? And then building. Games, music, snacks. Next week, students will get to ask that. This test is designed to predict the future. I think it will be fascinating. What activities, competitions, store, regular improvement guests, speaker for method. As we celebrate, it's always one great and challenge your mind and feel free. These students from Coons on dress up days and participated annual or the grade conference. On October 1st, and reader and get a chance to learn reading lessons to John. John Darkness on the house. Other coming special events also include a chamber experience, walking culture. Students will tour the ranch house, explore the Stagecoach Museum. And in Pepper, hosting a college and career readiness day from November 2nd. Showcasing colleges, training programs, and careers available at universities. There's a picture of Palm Springs, the really nice street. After our evening, students will see a musical evening production. Historic on campus with theater. Thank you for allowing me to share our Cleveland Dream report.
And then last but not least, within high school, we have non-match enrollment. You have a lot of events, we have chosen to we have on engagement. I love and program about how to be on there. On September 30th, we had a fashion show. We gave our students another chance for the beautiful cat. Our girls Broncos Tennessee made the dance. They work hard in practice every day. They have matches every Tuesday. I'm not playing 4 nights without having cheated. So we're time. Our marching bronco to be to first place and to fast on the Springs High School. They would challenge our part of the interior. They got a major Jenny box they gave them to be a vending. They will be taking their skills to the next level of the next competition. We'll start this Saturday. This weekend, we'll be talking about the cancer. Next week's record agents against those. We have one football game this Thursday. We'll be celebrating all of the teams, cheer band, Cross-country or. They will also be. Thank you. And that concludes. I would like to know if you can to know how to introduce them for.
Good evening, President Argiano, for Troutman, students and Vegas, distinguished board members, colleagues, community members. It is my pleasure to stand before you tonight and recognize one of our sites for their extreme accolades in the expression PPIS, which stands for positive behavior interventions and supports. And this momentous achievement is an exceptional criteria that they are really on the person who made one tier together to interventions to current behavior and equity and mental health services for action plan implementation are tier 2 and 3 interventions. 6, the academic impact, and 7, their classroom walkthroughs. And all of our sites have been doing PPIs for several years. This achievement goes to New Horizon High School. Four different levels, you can earn platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. They earn gold. Another big round of applause. Say something. And number 3 is not in first state. We have on the root side, teacher, giver, these are just
And we've had several 7 years and at universities. Last year, there was a team of teachers were on the board. Dr. Just along the way, our counselor, Ryan, had so much data work to do. But the exciting thing is seeing the kids just buy into it. We catch them. We catch them and their bipolar selves and their systems, their respect, their integrity, their duty to the school and their families and their past. And that's the most exciting thing is seeing how their school spirit and the enthusiasm has just changed. So thank you. We're very proud to represent family five. Very proud of support. Thank you.
If you take a step forward, maybe that'll come off. Okay, there you go. Okay, we'll come forward. And then Mr. Davis, come alongside, there you go. You don't have to say. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And
Item 1.6 didn't warrant member comment at this time for the year.
Maybe when we get there, we'll experience it. It's the perfect way to I could also thought I could take time to change the thing. The outcome of the city.
I went to profession, one, profession.
we are back in closed session. Time is 7:31 p.m. Clerk Troutman, please take. Trustee Indiana. Present. Trustee Martinez Lawrence. Present. Trustee Novales is not present. Trustee Ruiz. Present. And I, Trustee Troutman, am present. Please let the record reflect we held a quorum. Thank you. Item 3.1, report for closed session. Clerk Troutman, please share. Item 2.1 in closed session, the board discussed the superintendent's evaluation. Item 2.2 in closed session, the board received information, was updated and took action. In closed session, the Board of Education approved the recommendation for expulsion of student case 2023-14-2 for 1 calendar year from the date of this board meeting. Motion was made by President Aguiano and seconded by Clerk Troutman and carried on a 4-0 vote. Item 2.3 in closed session, the board received information as updated. Item 2.4 in closed session, the board received information as updated. Item 2.5 in closed session, the board received information as updated. Item 2.6 in closed session, the board received information and took action. In closed session, the Board of Education approved the appointment of Timothy Worthington for the middle school assistant principal position at Nicollet Middle School. Motion was made by Clerk Troutman, seconded by Trustee Martinez Lara, and carried on 4-0 vote. Congratulations.
Good evening again, President Amiyama, Clerk Troutman, distinguished board members, Superintendent Davis, colleagues, and community members. On behalf of the Benton Unified School District Board of Trustees and Superintendent Davis, we are excited to announce Timothy Worthington as Assistant Principal for Nicollet Middle School. Mr. Worthington has over 28 years of experience in education, 7 of those years spent as a classroom teacher and the rest were spent as an administrator for Riverside County Office of Education and Alternative Education Programs. Mr. Worthington received his Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of California at Riverside. He then earned a Master's of Arts in Education and a Master's of Arts in the School Administration from Azusa Pacific University. Please join us in welcoming Timothy Worthington.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. As I mentioned in closed session, I want to get to work, serve your families here. I like getting the bottom things, helping and fixing. So, and honestly, and no kidding aside, the Real Podcast, the Real Talk Podcast, I did my research. I wanted to know more about Manning, and that helped me give a glimpse at actually how people feel. You know, and it's the people are real here. It's the real talk. So it was a great way for me to get connected with Manning when we came on board. So thank you.
Yeah. 3.2, opportunity for community comments. Did we receive any?
We did not receive any comments.
Okay. Item 3.3, BTA comments. I would like to welcome BTA President, Mr. Anthony Garcia.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few quick things. First of all, I want to thank the district and the board for sending 27 teachers to the special education conference. I spoke to all of them. I really enjoyed it, and they hope to go back again next year. They learned a lot to bring back their students here. Second, within CEE, I just want to state again, I really enjoyed the last 2 days last week, and I really enjoyed listening to everything and the changes that are going to come from it. I know it's coming, but that's the nature of school districts, change is slow, but I see it's moving in the right direction. And then the last thing is, I look forward to negotiating October 8th soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3.4, CSDA comments. I would like to welcome CSDA President, Ms. Jennifer Serrano.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Hi, Change. So first off, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Business Services Department under the direction of Ms. Carrie Shook and Mr. Eddie Ramos. That department worked really hard to make sure that we got our retro pay and our one-time salary bonus. And I just want to point out that Eddie and Carrie were both classified employees at one point, and all the ladies and gents in there are also classified employees. With that being said, you guys rock things a lot, you guys. Congratulations to Vita Garcia for becoming the secretary at Central Elementary. Khalil for being the lead custodian. And congratulations, Mr. Timothy, for these. We look forward to working with you. On that note, the classified service feels a little disconnected from the board and the administration here. And so I was wondering how you guys would feel coming to either of one of our meetings to speak with the classified employees, or maybe having some other type of venue to where they can get connected and bring some issues. I don't want it to be a right session, but they have some real concerns and issues they want to bring to you. So I'm gonna pass out my business card when I'm done. If this is something you guys would like to do, please give me a call so we can get that started. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item 4.1, Superintendent Law.
So good evening, Madam President, members of our community. Thank you for being here this evening. Just a few things to report. Let's start with our student presentation. So several years ago, I had the opportunity to hear students moving from 8th grade to high school in a DI program. And they had to speak in Spanish and English. I saw African American students, I saw Hispanic students, I saw Caucasian students, and I got goosebumps. And as a result of that, I enrolled my student in the DI program. And so I say that to say tonight, hear the students talk. I'm just overwhelmed how polished they are, how strong. So thank you for our principals, leadership that you provide for all of our students. You guys are doing an awesome job, and our students are showing that to us. So thank you. With that being said, our students, our staff, our administrators, our board, our community support, we are making changes. And that's not to say that things in the past were bad. It's to say that here's, and we're making a lot of changes, and it's seen through our employees, it's seen through the community, it's seen globally. And so thank you all for your hard work. And that doesn't mean things are perfect. Perfect doesn't exist in my mind. It's always how we grow and we get better. So speaking of the podcast, because it seems to come up all of the time, but this little box right here, Ms. Cromas brought this to me. And I don't know if you can see it, but it is a box of a gremlin, old school gremlin. Maybe you don't know what that is. But she gave it to me this evening. It said, well, the students have been listening to the podcast. And I made a reference talking to one of the students about she wanted me to be involved in like getting in a water tank or dunk or something. And my comment was, I'm allergic to water. So I want to thank the high school students at Banning High School and ASB for giving this gremlin, because gremlins would go crazy if they had water stayed out of AK. So thank you to the Banning High School students and ASB. I know you're listening. And we're going to do this. Two more things really fast. The National Center for Education and Economy, that is the NCEE. We talked about it a little bit. And so several intervention teachers, instructional coaches, parents, board members, leadership team participated in 8 days that started back in, I think, in May. And so it was pretty intense because it was an opportunity for staff who've been here for a long time
and even students here talk about what being a student was, being a teacher is, and how there may be a disconnect between what's happening in the classroom and how the leadership looks at it. And there were honest, open conversations. And Anthony was asked in the very beginning to be a part of that. He agreed. We selected teachers. We selected teachers to be a part of that. And I heard that there were some teachers who didn't necessarily want to be a part of it because they didn't know was it going to lead to. And I think after a couple of sessions, people started to see a little bit of a difference. I'm a different type of leader. I don't want to push anything on anyone. I want to hear from the people doing the work so that way we can make the changes that are necessary. And I already mentioned we do have a plan. At the end of our last day, which was last Friday, everyone had to get in a circle and talk a little bit about, what their experience was like. And Anthony said something that really, I was a little surprised at. And the question was, basically, the whole NCE thing was really about how can we improve our systems. Every system is designed to produce what it was designed to produce. And so there's things that we can change. There's things that we have control to change today, tomorrow, to have a better outcome. And so that's what the 8 days was really about. And it's really just the beginning because we have a lot of work to do. But Anthony said that we were doing well as a district, that we could definitely get better, and we're gonna get better. And that was the first time that I've actually heard someone who's been here for a long time talk about we are doing well now. And so I say that because a lot of the things that came over the course of the 8 days was thinking and reflecting about how Banning used to be. A lack of trust, a lack of not knowing at some point. And we have a choice. You have a choice. You can either live in that space or you could be a part of the space to move us forward. In the 8 days with that group of people, the 20+ people showed me and was very clear to everyone that was in that room that we are ready to move together forward collectively. And so I want to thank you, Anthony, for being a part of that, the team that you brought, the administrator, the parents. Ms. Maria Lopez Torres was a part of that. Michelle Ruiz does the work in Violence, administrative assistants. We had so many people part of that. And so again, we have a lot of work to do, but I'm proud of that because it really opened up a door for people to see we want to have positive change. And one of the next steps is inviting our classified staff as a part of that. How does that fit? Because the last thing I'm going to talk about is celebrating some really, really good news. So today, state scores were released. And so our state scores comes out every year based upon the state assessments that are completed by our students at the end of the school year. And so I'm just going to preview this really fast. And next board meeting, Dr. Carlson Bush and team, we're going to do a presentation about this. And I just want to say this. This is evidence and data that we are doing the right things. We're going in the right direction. So some of you guys have heard the CAS, the California Assessment for Student Performance and Progress, is that Banning had some of the best growth in Riverside. In ELA, which is English Language Arts, the percentage of students who met or exceeded standards increased by 2.99%. In math, the percentage of students who met or exceeded standards increased by over 3%. And let me just give you a reference point. In the state for ELA, there was no significant change in increase. And we had almost 3% in ELA. In the state for math, there was about 1% increase. We had over 3%. That's saying something. We are boldly saying something as Banning Unified, and it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with you. What happens in our classroom and the support that we provide to people who work every day for our students. Finally, chronic absenteeism rates have decreased by 14.6%
and statewide, they've only decreased by 1%. So obviously, something is going right in Banning.
Thank you, Mr. David. Item 5. Consent calendar.
The recommendation to approve the calendar agenda items 5.2, 5.4 as provided. All matters listed under the consent calendar agenda are considered to be routine and enacted by one motion and vote. There is no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the Board of Education considers the motion, unless a member of the board or administrative staff requests that specific items be discussed.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar agenda as provided? I have a motion from Ms. Ruiz and a second from Ms. Tina Lara. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Oh, yes, 4-0. Item 6.1, district safety security measures presentation. At this time, I invite Mr. Schiller and Dr. Wolfert to share tonight's security presentation.
Presentation here. Okay, so to start this off this evening, I just want to start that where we are in our society, there's a lot of things that are happening that in our school systems across the nation. Everyone is dealing with this, but we're not everyone. So we've had some recent incidents, and this has been going on for quite some time. So the board asked me to put together a presentation about safety protocols. What are we doing? What's going on? What could we do? So tonight, what we want to do is answer some questions from that the board may have, address concerns that the board may have. And the way we're going to do this tonight is the first thing Dr. Wolfert is going to talk about is what we currently have in place. What are the protocols that we have in place? Because not everyone knows. 2, Mr. Sherwood is going to talk about what improvements we're currently working on to improve our existing status with safety and security measures. And then finally talk about what are some other possibilities that we can look at. And then we'll close it out with the question and answer what our next steps are and get some direction from the board. So with that being said, if you guys don't have any initial questions or talk about concerns, we can start with Dr. about what we have. So do we have a copy? No. That's probably my fault.
So
Okay, so I want to start with one of the protocols. This is it's a federal mandate that counties have adopted. It used to be called the Kids with Guns in Schools Protocol, but now it's called the School Threat Assessment Response Team. A lot of times you'll hear us call it the STAR protocol, because we're special ed, we're education, and we like the acronyms. So any threat that is given in a school with gun violence from TK through our 22-year-old program would enact the STAR protocol. And what that means is it's mandatory law enforcement contact. And law enforcement does a threat assessment, and then they go to the home to ensure the student does not have access to weapons. And then we follow up with our counselor or mental health therapist to follow up with the student afterwards. Then we have a new Senate bill, which I would say it adds to the school threat assessment response with Senate Bill 906.
And it's, any homicide threat, weapon or no weapon, that now that is immediate law enforcement contact for any perceived threat through the grade 6 through 12, and law enforcement responds and investigates any threat that is put to notice for them. 906 was passed because in some counties, we're very lucky in Riverside County, we have a standing STAR protocol. Other counties don't, so they wanted to make sure law enforcement was responding to schools when they were reporting these things with the increase in incidents nationwide. And then we have counseling and mental health support, because it all begins with me. So if we're good and the students are good, then everyone's good. So you gotta take care of yourself first. So elementary, middle, and high school council, we have mental health therapists for individual therapeutic services, and we also have interns, about 6 counseling interns who are helping us run our wellness center. And our mental health therapists have really taken the lead on this and opening up wellness centers at our school sites. And we've adopted a risk threat assessment process. And every day we're working on social skills, group counseling, individual needs, and when we need to, we refer out to the
and it's build on sharing. We've really made concerted efforts to be more proactive in our safety measures. And so she spoke a little bit about identifying potential threats of items of oneself or to others. And what we've been doing in the recent months is trying to secure tools to help us better identify, assess, and then act on potential threats. So it's a combination of things that we have. So we have a platform known as Go Guardian, which is multi-tier. In a nutshell, what this is doing is helping us identify potential threats made by our students on devices they use in the district here. We've adopted 24/7, 365-year monitoring to help us out with it as well. Again, really just trying to be more proactive and identify, making sure that we're addressing the needs of our students in the district. We're building on that as well. So I've been in this district going on 8 years now, and we have used an anonymous tip line in the past, not as effectively as it could have been utilized. So we are looking at bringing it back, bringing in WeTip, and really starting to build a more robust anonymous tip line platform. It goes well beyond kind of the phone line operates past, really allowing us to use other tools that our students and staff can utilize to report potential threats. And I've shared some of this in the past with you all as well, but just to reinforce some of the proactive measures that we have in place. You know, beginning last year, we adopted a new visitor management system. So everybody who's coming onto our sites here, it's not a normal everyday employees being screened to make sure that we're really not allowing any potential threats, any dangerous individuals onto our campuses, and individual sites too. There have been growing concerns about threats in our restrooms, particularly at the secondary level. So what we've been trying to do in recent months is use a variety of methods. One, making sure that we're staffing those areas, those hot zones at individual sites, and we are looking again at other measures to help better address these issues. Installation of vape sensors, which is becoming pretty common in secondary schools. So we're looking to bring all of these tools on board and really take full advantage of making sure that we're being proactive.
So with that being said, before we go deeper into the questions or concerns, I know that there was a team that attended a conference, I think in Nevada, and there was a weapons system, there was a weapons detection system. And we've done some research to find out, are there other places locally that are using it? There is one district that is using it. in this thing. And so with that being said, what we want to do is just share with the board what that system is and what the capabilities are. Sure.
So the system we're talking about here is evolved. So some of you may be familiar with this system. I know initially the wording that we used, the phrasing that we used was metal detectors. And in all honesty, it's well beyond a traditional metal detector. I was fortunate enough to visit Emmett Unified on September 29th. So very recently, I went to West Philly United School, which is very much a school of 2,000 students. They've had this system in place for over a year, and they had many of the same concerns before rolling out this system. And they have a lot of the same concerns as us. So, you know, logistically, how does it work, right? Especially when you're talking about over 1,000 students, how does this become feasible in a normal school setting? So I was there for about 2.5 hours. So I was able to see the first student enter campus and the last student in the morning enter campus. And this is very different than a traditional metal detector. We've all done this. It's a process. Right? Your pocket's out. It's long. It's going to cause lines. That's really one of the big benefits of this system. You walk right through, empty your pockets. It doesn't have the same look, doesn't have the same feel. And Unified had concerns too. What would the perception be bringing in metal detectors? How is that perceived from the outside? How is it perceived by our parents and guardians and our students? And this is a very different feel. In all honesty, it does use more advanced technology. It's not detecting metal itself, it's looking for firearm components, essentially is how this works. And it uses a combination of technologies, cameras to identify those concerns, those potential threats before they enter campus. It's not very intrusive, right? You're not emptying your pockets out. This is using technology in boxes where potential threats are on the person. It's relaying that information back on screens to the people who are coordinating these efforts at the site. So very, very different than our perception of metal detectors in schools, the experience that I had. And Emmett has spoken highly of the system.
So with that being said, because we've had some conversation as an administrator team, we've had some conversations with the but before we talk about the type of detection system, which we can never do, any questions, concerns from the board overall?
When you mean firearm component, can you give examples as to what umbrella that is exactly?
Yeah, so there's a key difference, right? With the metal detector, it's detecting any item that has a significant amount of metal. This system is designed, it's customizable, so it's looking specifically for cylindrical metal objects, something that would make up a gun barrel. And there's a range of sensitivity settings on this system that allow you to customize sensitivity of the system based on what you're looking for.
So could you look for knives?
You could, and this is going to open up. Yes, to answer your question, you can. You're going to get a number of false positives as well, and that's something that I did notice. Even in the setting they had, which was looking specifically for this at Emmett Unified, you had about a 12% hit rate on objects that can 3 reminders.
Is detecting objects, firearm versus other similarly shaped objects.
As you increase the sensitivity to look for knives, you're going to false positives. Any item that's the same shape, percentage of it less.
Basically, this would.
That's correct. That's specifically how Emmett is with their system.
Why is it because of mass.
Yes, the justification, I asked that question as well. And their justification was they have a number of students, right? Well over 2,000 students come into their campus on a daily basis. They had to balance logistics, right? How can they bring in 2,200 students into the campus in a timely manner, impacting the daily school, and then making sure that they're not bringing in weapons that can inflict mass casualties. That's really what their focus was. Can a knife do damage? Absolutely it can. But the justification was a firearm specifically can do a lot more damage a lot faster than believe.
Well, I know you had mentioned that how it might be perceived to parents and others, but personally, and I think I can speak for most parents that say that as long as it'll keep my kids safe, I don't care how it looks. Like if those kids are getting scammed and any perceived threat is caught before they set foot on campus, I'll take it.
And that's essentially what Hammett had. So one of the many questions I had for them was what kind of feedback did they have when they built the system? And the safety director that I spoke to said he only received 3 calls concerning the system, and they have it at 11 of their sites. It's all their secondary sites. And all 3 of those phone calls were directed about radiation levels, concerns around radiation levels, which does not admit it uses radios.
Also, would this be solely for the high school levels, or would it also be for, say, the middle school? Would we get one just like for the high schools, the Coombs as well as Danny High, or would we include Nicollet? Because I mean, much like I hate to admit it, there are threats at Nicollet too.
Yeah, given wherever the direction of the board provides us, what we would be looking at is providing at the high school and middle school homes as well as the community. Secondary schools, because they're incidents or there's a high propensity for that at the second.
System out there with low sensitivity, something that could pick up perhaps knives and guns.
So absolutely, to answer your question, yes. And again, this system can detect knives. Now there are other systems, other competitors out there that compete with Evolve. This is, from the research, and we looked into Evolve, reached out. This goes back to life. So this has been part of our research process in improving safety standards in this district for quite some time now. This particular system is generally regarded at the top of its class. It's the only one that has similar features that's recognized and certified by security. So this is the same system. If you've gone to a sporting event recently, if you're a SoFi stadium, it's the exact same system that they're utilizing in some of these larger venue systems.
My question is, I know technology will evolve. Would this potentially be outdated? And if so, what's the timing for that before we need to upgrade it?
That's a great question. That was again one of the many questions I asked Hammett as well. So this is a unique system in the fact that it's not a one-time cost; it's an ongoing cost. It's the same year, in fact, but that does include constant updates. So Hammett has had this system in place for going on a year and a half now, and there have been a number of improvements in the system based on our conversations between myself and the safety director there, and that's included in the year cost.
Any mechanical upgrades would be included in the cost?
So most of this is tech. It is software improvements. The only example that I can give you of that is Hammett Unified has school in Idlewild. It's very windy up there. The weather can be very extreme. They did have one of these blow over and break because it wasn't secured properly. In that particular case, the company didn't replace it for cost.
Will you discuss the portability or mobility and the use of that in place?
Absolutely. So there's two different versions. Now, Hammett had a version that can be moved. It's on casters. It's relatively heavy. You can deploy it relatively quickly. There is another unit that Evolve has that Hammett does not currently own. That is more. It does not need to be plugged in. It uses batteries. So there are options to answer your question in terms of.
Would we be using it solely for school studies or graduation in major?
I think the portability of the system, especially the battery version, would allow you to deploy it in a number of different venues. There's a lot of flexibility. It has a fairly small footprint. The portable version that we demoed hands-on was pretty easy.
Or maybe closing off on the entrance for the kid of that, so they coming through the front gate and the side gate on the other side. So would they just be coming in one door?
So the answer to that, so again, this was about the possibilities. If the board provided direction to move in this direction, there are a host of things that we have to consider. And one of them is what you talked about, having that single point of entry. We have students at Banning High School that are dropped off on the very east side of the campus. They would have to either walk over to the main space. We have a gate out front. We have one to drop over here. So there would be work to do to figure out how we address Nicolette is I know Nicolette, I believe they enter in the very front, and some students enter on the east side. Coombs is probably the only site that I think all of the students funnel through the front. So we would have to figure out what that looks like. That may involve adding more devices. So the other thing that is to consider is staffing. So that would be adding staffing. Not only adding staffing, would we have to, we would definitely work with CSEA because depending on the job description, I believe Hammond has a memorandum of understanding with CSEA to determine who does what and how it works. So it's not as easy as let's purchase it, let's put it in, let's use it. It's staffing. Staffing is always an issue, has been for the past several years of our position. And then agreements, working with bargaining units, single path of entry, and then the cost. So one lane, if you will, is roughly about $40,000. But I think on larger sites, you have 2 active lanes. And so if we were to do one lane at the high school, middle school in Coombs, that would be roughly $250,000 a year. 2 lanes at both sites would be about $500,000 per year. So again, I don't want to get into costs at this point because safety is priceless. However, these are all things that we have to consider and we'll bring back to the board depending on the direction.
And although safety is priceless, the machines are not. So with that said, we would have definitely have to look at that because we would want someone by the machine to make sure that no one's tampering with them during school hours or even after hours.
So that kind of goes to my question that I want to ask. How do we know that it is working efficiently? Is there like a light, a message that you get? Because I would hate for us to have it and think it's working and then it not work.
Right, so if when the system does detect an anomaly, right, a potential threat, there's a light, right, that goes off in this terminal. And that there's a picture, there's an array of cameras as well. That picture is pushed to the tablet, so the operators of this system, and then the location of the potential box on the screen. Just to build on that in terms of how many people, you had mentioned lanes are sections in this case here. And the way Hammond had this operating required about 3 individuals per lane at the peak time.
And so the last thing I want to make sure I say, because this came up in every conversation that we had, is sometimes you can have devices that can create a false sense of security. And so it's just being aware of that. If we have X, that does not mean that a student cannot somehow get a weapon on campus. And so it's just being aware of that. And it is definitely a sensitive topic, but a topic that needs to be discussed in terms of how we move forward. So if the board were to provide direction, we want to move this forward. And so we would do work with all of these different components.
Are we gonna see pictures of the top? Cause I have no idea what it looks like.
So that's something we can share, and Hammond has actually offered to host us again, a large group of anybody who's interested in actually setting the system in place, but I do have the materials that we can send you. Whatever.
I'm a visual person, so I'll be actually I mean, so I don't know what. But.
Take your time.
And then my other question. I mean, I feel the same way as Laura, our safety is priceless, and it's really important to keep our students and our staff safe. And I hope this comes out perfectly, but my biggest concern is I'm afraid if we do move forward and we invest all of this, that then we don't utilize it to its max capacity. And then it would be a waste of money. And I don't want that to happen if we move forward. So what are the steps that you guys would be taking in place to ensure that we are getting our money in our safety board of this product?
Go ahead.
The biggest obstacle, and that is, and this is just building on what Mr. Davis was saying, is making sure that we have logistics in place to actually properly sell. This was, this took him a while to put together. There were requirements, running a system like this, having a true single point of entry is crucial. Making sure that all of the students are actually going through that screening process. There's staffing components to this too. The system does not work to its full potential if it's not properly staffed. And facilities as well, right? The system that Emmy is using in this example require power. So there's some logistical issues, there's some facilities issues, transportation issues. That would need to be addressed to make sure that we can fully take the system like this.
Just to add to that and be very realistic, as I look at Ms. Gillis, who works with our educators, we have some positions that we cannot have. And this problem is not going. So the two biggest barriers to implementation of anything is training, staff. And so we already know that staffing is a challenge. And on top of that, ensuring that if we're having in place staff, the staff receiving the right training, or they staying and falling door. So in itself, no matter what it was, it would present a challenge, but it's how we address that. And that's just working with our labor partners and taking some time to look at all the nuances prior to the moment. At this point. So at this point, the board can provide direction, we can think about it, we can bring it back. We can update the board if we do communication, depending on our conversations, is how we should proceed, but that doesn't necessarily have to happen.
Maybe what are your thoughts? Looking toward getting more information or?
But I definitely would like more information before we move forward, just so we're not jumping the gun. Sorry. Definitely like more information, but I would definitely like to move forward with how we're going to implement it. Thank you.
That would look like
What is
costs, how many staff.
how many we need and such.
So I agree with Laura. You ladies are great talk. Okay, so, I would be interested, if possible, to take you up on the offer of visiting campus to see how it works. Yes. I think that's important to obtain that visual as well, as pictures, I don't know if it's for sure. These important to take a trip to somebody.
With detailed information, case studies, and I can bring that visitation as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so item 6.2, business services 2022-23 and developer.
The item is for the board to review and approve the annual development fee report for fiscal year 2022-23.
Is there a motion in a second to open and discuss item 6.2?
To open and discuss item 6.2.
I second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I have a motion for Ms. Ruiz and a second from Ms. Troutman to approve item 6.2. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 7.1, educational services, added community culture.
This item is for the board to approve the attendance of the Banning High School Avid Senior Trip on October 24th through the 26th, 2023.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 7.1?
I move.
I second.
Questions or discussion? I do have a question. I know that there was a concern brought up about the safety of these trips, the quality. And I know I had brought it up at agenda review, so I'm not sure if Dr. Buckler should be able to provide more information based on the concerns that were shown.
Absolutely, in terms of ensuring that the facilities, hotels that have been selected are safe. Conversation, principal who reiterated that staff accompanying students on the trips would be entering, doing a check of the rooms prior to students entering. As far as the actual selection of hotels, it generally depends upon hotels that are typically within proximity. But what is also taken into consideration certainly are the actual quality of the hotel facilities.
And how are we gonna hold accountability that our staff that are attending are doing these checks before our students enter?
That they will be in direct communication with the principal. The principal has already indicated that he will be in communication with them, checking to see what the quality of the facilities are.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Buckler. Yeah.
Here. Here, just stepped out.
Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Troutman and a second from Ms. Ruiz to approve item 7.1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 7.2, educational services, Avid Junior College trip.
This item is for the board to approve the attendance of the Banning High School Avid Trip on March 11th through the 15th, 2024.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 7.2?
I move to open and discuss.
Discussion or question? I just want it to be noted the same questions and concerns for the prior item that we approved for the go for this one as well. Okay. I have a motion for Ms. Ruiz and a second for Ms. Martinez-Lar to approve item 7.2. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 7.3, educational services district quarterly report on Williams uniform complaint.
That's information only, no position needed.
Are there any questions regarding this item? Okay, hearing none. Item 7.4, educational services, the Great Riverside County Office of Education Intensive Behavioral Intervention.
This item is for the board to approve the Riverside County Office of Education Intensive Behavioral Intervention Agreement.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 7.1?
Second.
Question or question?
It's just because of the date that it has for the start date, the 7/1/2023 on there. Were we being provided services without pay, or were we out of contract, or what was the reason behind us backdating it to July?
We have several students who have additional services listed in their IEPs. And some of those services require are indicated with COE.
Question was brought up by an agenda review as we prepared for today's meeting as well, but you'd be able to provide us with information about if we were to hire intervention behavioral specialist and the cost difference between that and contracting now.
Absolutely, we have 3 options that we're currently considering for 2025.
And you'll update us in what format?
I will put it in the weekly updates. We actually will add another section in the updates with the link. There's sort of a PowerPoint deck, and it kind of breaks it out. But I may be able to put it in a different format so that it's easier to read.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Motion from Ms. Troutman and a second from Ms. Rudy to approve item 7.4. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 8.1, Human Resources Provisional Internship Permit.
This item is for the board to approve the provisional internship permit for the Banning High School biology teacher position.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 8.1?
I move to open and discuss item 8.1.
Any discussion or question?
This is just filling the position currently open.
So yes, we currently have a substitute, long-term substitute teacher that's in the position. He will be intern eligible, I believe, in December. This allows us to hire, he has a master's degree in biology. He's just in a program to get his credential. So it allows us to hire now. Not the provisionary.
Any other question? No? Okay. I have a motion from Ms. Ruiz and a second from Ms. Martinez Lara to approve item 8.1. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.1, Business Services Revision to Resolution number 24-008, GAN.
This item is for the board to accept the revision to GAN limit resolution number 24-008, establishing the maximum appropriation limitations for public agencies as adopted in Proposition 4 in November of 1979.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.1? Any discussion or question? Okay, hearing none. I have a motion for Ms. Troutman and a second for Ms. Martinez Laura to approve item 9.1. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.2, Business Services Award RFQP number 24-001, leaseback construction services to American All Construction. Oh, okay, thank you.
This item is for the board to approve resolution number 24-00 and award the leaseback agreement to American All Construction for leaseback construction services for the construction of the 6 new classrooms, necessary site improvement, and parking lot upgrades for Florida Street Discovery Venture project.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.2? Any discussion or question? Motion from Ms. Martinez Laura and a second from Ms. Troutman to approve item 9.2. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.3, business services award request for proposal, architectural services for the design of an HVAC system.
This item is for the board to award proposal agreement, PBK Architecture Incorporated, to provide architectural services for the career technical education workshop, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system design.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.3? Any discussions or questions? What that we're doing.
Oh, I'm not. But element. throw it up there. Is this something we maybe could have gotten during when it was being built and maybe it's an oversight or this was done sooner?
Good evening, and that is a great question. But you know what so there can be various factors in terms of why certain components of the project don't mount to the expectation or expected outcome. In this case, the evaluation of the current system does not support the facility when it's extremely hot and humid. So those two conditions have created a space that it's not supported by them. So this here is moving forward with design aspect of the heating ventilation. And there was a lot of work in terms of research, in terms of ensuring that it was in the original documentation as far as the scope of the project as well. So there was a little bit of time back there in getting to this process here, this particular item, and moving forward, that would be then going through the bid process for the builder.
And say it a different way. It should have been a part of the design. And so as we got here and found that it wasn't, it took a while to figure out that it wasn't. Because when you look at it and you look in the ceiling, it looks like a very clear HVAC system. So it wasn't. So providing that out, a lot of stuff that we all experienced together, they put together. So
When would be installed? Because next summer is a long time away. And sorry, I hate the thought of it disrupting class time for students, because it's important.
Absolutely. One of the key factors in determining when to move forward with a project is minimizing the impact on the classroom. In this case, we're aiming towards either spring break releases or most likely we will run into this. So yeah, minimizing the impact to the classroom is one of the percentage requirements. It's important decision making process.
And what's the timeline for something like this to get installed?
And on the design aspect, once we design it, the part of the safe architecture, better understanding in terms of.
So for clarification, because this will come and go. This is just for the design phase. After we have the design phase, we have to something build it and put it in place, which is a different contract.
Correct.
So it's not taken.
Yes. We're hoping to complete this project by December.
Thank you.
And the amendment for the change in company?
That is a great question, and if you may recall, in February, excuse me, gathering here, the board did approve a architects. We then, we have new projects, a sort of proposal to those four firms. And since we have a master agreement already approved, this is an amendment to the spot to the original.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I have a motion for Mr. T, second from Ms. Trout to approve item 9.3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.4, business services agreement to the Nation of Quality School District piggyback bid for the nutrition services.
This item is for the board to approve the utilization of Fulton Unified School District bid number CJNS 2021 bread for bread and tortilla products awarded to Golden Star Foods for the 2023-24 school year.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.4?
I move to open and discuss.
A second. Any discussion or question? Good. I have a motion for Ms. Ruiz, the second for Ms. Troutman to approve item 9.4. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.5, business services, 5-year lease with option to purchase agreement enterprise.
This item is for the board to approve a 5-year lease with option to purchase agreement of 6 vehicles from Enterprise Fleet Management.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.5?
I move to open and discuss.
I second. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Herrera, can you just reiterate why we would go with a lease instead of a straight purchase, like you did generate?
Absolutely great questions. This is a lease agreement with the option to purchase at the end of the 5-year term. This will allow the district to spread out the costs in 5 years as opposed to an upfront payment for the entirety of the vehicle purchase.
So we're gonna do the vehicle purchase, and so does that mean we're gonna put any other vehicle like on the side to replace replacing a vehicle?
That is correct. This is a replacement of 6 aging vehicles for the grounds and maintenance crews.
Okay, so then potentially, when we see purchase warrant and invoice it, we shouldn't see a lot of repair for vehicles then.
That is correct. There were quite a bit of repair for these vehicles where the cost was being evaluated in terms of being effective and efficient as well. And so definitely there will be a reduced cost in repairs.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Did we shop around? Is this the enterprise with our best deal?
That is correct. So the enterprise is the company that offers this type of structure. Also, they are providing us with the market value of the vehicle, so it's very competitive. Also, it's fleet pricing versus the MSRP manufacturer. MSRP.
Gotcha. It's okay.
The acronym says too many acronyms.
Suggested retail price.
Thank you. Manufacturer suggested retail price.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Any other questions? No, okay, thank you. So I have a motion for Ms. Ruiz, then a second for Ms. Troutman to approve item 9.5. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.6, business services change orders, roofing project phase 1.
This item is for the board to approve change orders for contracts with Bell Company and San Marino Company as provided.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.6?
To open and discuss.
Any discussion or question? Motion for Ms. Ruiz, the second for Ms. Martinez Laura, to approve item 9.6. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.7, business services change orders AMS.
This item is for the board to approve change orders with AMS.net as provided.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.7?
I move.
Second.
Any discussion or question? Okay, hearing none, I have a motion from Ms. Troutman and a second from Ms. Ruiz to approve item 9.7. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Business services notice of completion for Bellroom Company Inc.
This item is for the board to approve the notice of completion for the Banning Unified School District Group B bid packages 1 through 2, number 21-22-0.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.9?
I'll second.
Any discussion or question?
It didn't state like what site specifically they were doing repairs on. May we know what site got the repairs, or was it like across the? Also, is the work warranted? Like if we get leaks this upcoming rain season, are they coming back out to fix the repair correctly?
Absolutely. So for that, this phase one did multiple facilities across the district in terms of the warranties on our.
Thank you very much. The sites that were actively serviced were Lee and high school and Central. The warranties are truthful. There's a first 10 year so it's additional. So the material can be to 10 years, the material so.
So when we get a leak, say, in a Spanish building in our controversial lane, who would they have to get that report to?
And so generally they report that to the school site office and that we submitted at the maintenance department. We're going to address in the date. Just to clarify, what Mr. Page mentioned here, wasn't all groups, it was certain particular water exaggeration, we've seen some significant leaks. We're aware of addition, we said that we're currently working on the second phase of the moving suggestion.
Do we have a time frame for that phase for those leaks that are on the season?
Yes, sir. It's actually going in all specifications now, we're going up to bid every shortly, or we did the job also with Thanksgiving break. Selecting those bids and stuff will be December, awarded, exported, and then started.
Fortunately, this rain season, I know that we had a pretty tough rain season this year. And so I know the maintenance team has been working on patching up some of those leaks, and it is a priority. However, because of the timing, so the availability of contractors, this work will most likely be pushed into the summer.
It's easy. So we do not. So that liability and that also is going to damage. So once all it is, like it's like it is in the district's best interest of the buildings.
Do we have a case? The classroom administrative, because I've heard reports that it sounds like there's mold in our walls in there, so our teachers, our students, our babies, they're breathing this in. And it's like every rain season that I don't even describe it, it's a specific smell where you can tell there's leaks somewhere happening.
What school site?
Here, Spanish building. It's been 2 rain seasons that I've been getting complaints about it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Motion for Ms. Troutman and a second for Ms. Ruiz to approve item 9.9. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, passes 4-0. Item 9.10 business services, notice the completion for San Marino Roof Company, Inc.
This item is for the board to approve the notice of completion for the Banning Unified School District roofing bid package 3, number 21-22-01.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.10? Any discussion or question? I have a motion from Ms. Martinez Laura and a second from Ms. Troutman to approve item 9.10. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.11 business services, disposition of district assets.
This item is for the board to approve disposition listing of district assets as provided.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.11?
I move. I'll second.
Any discussion or question?
Mr. Davis, so sorry. I feel the question will go to you. So any funds that we would get from this would go towards a general fund?
That would be a super business expert.
Kind of big.
That is correct. The revenues proceeds resale of any asset that's disposed of will be either city general dollars unless it's purchased with federal fund.
So what would that, what would those look like? What kind of?
25% of the proceeds that will be then either unrestricted general fund depending programs, sometimes they get treated.
What items would that look like, that would be?
So for example, if I'm understanding correct, the question is what items are currently on the list or what is in the
Like
those currently we have. Yes, that's correct. Also, we're working process screening community initiative starting the fall. That's under the bidding, want to work through the process of this decision on desk, will furniture at our site and also working with school sites as well and helping them meet some of the home furniture as well. The other items would include trigger, sprayer, and so items that we don't need to get into good conditions such as forecast storage.
And that's that we would only get.
So an example of a purchase would be, for example, a refrigerator purchase out of the child nutrition, which is a resource that would have to go through different processes. However, the disposition of the asset would then be brought to the board. And again, this is the second round specific assets as part of the being transparent and how the energy system moving forward and in doing systems as well.
Who determines the sale price?
It depends, and so in some cases, we work with a team, which is a competent board that you consider them. At that point, the sport team could be experts at what was the acquisition price, what is going to be a selling and actually will be sold. In some cases, some has not be sold. That one we then have to either recycle or getting rid of the benefits. Yes, it's.
I have a motion from Ms. Troutman and a second from Ms. Martinez Laura to approve item 9.11. All those in favor say aye. Oh, aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.12, business services, records retention, classification, and destruction of accounts payable record.
The item is for the board to approve the classification and destruction of accounts payable records as Class 3 disposable.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.12?
A second.
Any discussion or question? Hearing none, I have a motion from Ms. Martinez Laura and a second from Ms. Troutman to approve item 9.12. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.13, business services contractual agreement.
This item is for the board to approve and or ratify contractual agreements as provided.
Is there a motion and a second to open and discuss item 9.13?
I'll move to open and discuss. I'll second.
Any discussion or question?
Central County Institute. How is that getting implemented? Is it someone coming in to implement the program? Would it be our teachers implementing the program? And does our dual immersion fifth grade slot or get to participate in it?
It is a field trip and all fifth grade students are going to participate. Mrs. Cole, John, would you like to talk a little bit about?
Maybe more. Yes, it is. I don't know if any of you have been in great outdoor education field trip. But when I was young, we got to go for a week and we got to go to camp and just support top of grade. So that's what we're working towards. So we're doing a 1 day outdoor ed field trip because they think fifth grade might have inside the building that you get. We're taking it out to explore it. They get it all day and hopefully one day we can grow to 3 days. Student can experience.
You mentioned that today. Like, Mommy, we're gonna go in December and something about like death licensing and split. Yeah, so yeah, it was all over it. And hoping it is. Thank you for that experience for them. Any other questions?
No, I just want to, yeah, it's very happy to see the mowers there, the lawnmowers. Because our maintenance department really needed that. I just wanted to know in the long run, is it going to be less expensive to purchase our own equipment versus I know that they've been renting people?
Yes, there's been a series of rentals to departments equipment needs definitely will be a cost saving or long term. So we're the equipment. Another item also will be listed is for a tracker, same concept in terms of the rental versus the ownership to be able to help the department navigate student departments.
Thank you, everyone. Any other question? Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Bruin and a second from Ms. Martinez Lara to approve item 9.13. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.14, business services, monthly fiscal services report.
This item is for the board to approve monthly fiscal services report, bank reconciliation, purchase order, warrant summary, and commercial warrant register.
Is there a motion and a second to open it? Item 9.14.
I moved to open and discuss. I second.
Any discussion or question? I actually have a view. I do apologize ahead of time for not on time. But it's, let me see if I have them. So I believe it's under purchase orders. I know that we have Kick to Learn. And my question is, are we renewing or we paid, is it for specific sites? Or are they in different timelines as to when we pay for Kick to Learn? Because I know I've seen it in other purchase orders in the past, and so I was just wondering if
So that I'll go ahead and ask for some support here from Cosmos in just a second, but just want to explain the process here. Sure. The process is that there is a contract for a few months back. The process requires a contract purchase order to be submitted subsequently to encumber the funds for it. And so this is just a follow-up to the original contract that was approved, let's say about 3 months ago here. And I know that it's Across the district, not exactly sure on the school section, but I'll let the academic teams go ahead and provide that details.
Good evening. Yes, so Kids to Learn is at all four. And each of the, even though we proposed, submitted, all the schools, and they're actually site fund through their PO system, so that's what it's, there's different, POs, that's why they are different. There's a different. Budget.
And so is that like one payment yearly or is it done quarterly?
No, it's been here.
Okay, so then these two were for 2 seconds.
This is for Patterson.
Okay,
So
Second.
one contract
Second.
for different.
okay, so I guess, do we know if we've already paid out the other 2 sites? Or was this the beginning?
This is, I'll go ahead and follow up and see what purchase order have been submitted. Again, the contract was approved, so this is everything. So it invoice on a monthly basis, meaning that we don't need advance, it's based upon the services in the vendor. So for example, they have some activity in the schedule, for some reason kind of schedule, we deliver the services and we pay for the services in the vendor.
Thank you. And then there was a recurring digital airtime. I was curious as to what that was for. It was for $29,000. I didn't want to assume that was for.
This is going to be for, it's not on podcast. Such an extension. This is for the transportation department. This is the service that we give basis for the relay of the signal for radios.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. And then I saw several lines for the Cardi limousine and transportation and then bus west. What are those specifically for in regards to your transportation department? If it's even for that.
It's for the transportation department, Cardi limousine. So basically they provide charter bus services, and this is for that our transportation department does not have staffing available to provide transportation needs for students for specific areas.
And we have a contract for them, right?
That is correct. So the process is that we have a contract that's approved that has a fee schedule. When the use of the charter services are submitted, a purchase order gets submitted to come to the funds in order to move forward service.
And then 2 more. Form E promoter collision repair. What did we fix?
Then we invite Mr. Ken Page, Mr. Grossi up here for Gold. I believe, and I can find it.
You want to see Mr. Ingross?
Hey, yeah. I love that. It's a baby. Very loud.
This is That's what. So what exact repairs are performed by?
For sure. It's the new equipment that we got, if we. In case something's under the. So, we give them the repair at maybe the time it's sleeping. Send us an estimate, and we turn around and either approve it or. We can say it's coming here.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't had some. If we did one every time we had. Machine go down or something, take too long, get it back.
So then you just have to open if needed.
The means department, we have various vehicles for various different reconditions. To be able to get shop around the process of competitive.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And then I know I'm always looking for like the guidance. Where it's really bad just to see.
Big changes.
That was a kudos.
Big changes, big changes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I'm the motion, right, and the government cabinet to approve item 9.14, favor state aye. They name hearing none, motion passes 4-0. Item 9.15, training of the
So good evening again. I'm very happy to report that the board has approved to continue to move forward with leadership development. The majority of our board members have been trained in the Masters of Governance by the California School Boards Association, which has oversight on policy, procedures, governance. We're going to be moving into a different realm, which is really how the governance team, the board, and the superintendent build a cohesive team leadership. And one of the things that I was explaining is that sometimes like Ms. Quinones gets put in a role, she's off now, and Jennifer and Anthony, and these are leadership roles. Sometimes you get in the role, you have to figure out how to discern on how to work with people, working with adults. Everyone's going to come bring a challenge. How do you work through that? And so this is a part of how the governance team works together cohesively to support staff and the community. Very happy for the board's commitment to continue scheduling those trainings.
Thank you. Item 11.14, like sequencers.
The crowd is getting smaller and smaller. Thank you. I did have the pleasure of attending all 8 evening, and I just want to say it was a true pleasure to be in the room with educators and administration, and the level of trust and communication was amazing to see. I really appreciated everyone's willingness to work together and speak their mind, be honest, bring up items that maybe they might not have wanted to bring up before. It was discussed, things were agreed upon, and I think the level of commitment from our administration to keep their finger on the pulse and make adjustments as needed is huge, and I really appreciate that from all. I also had the pleasure of attending Street Discovery Center, and Spurgeon took me around. It was beautiful to see all those beautiful faces smiling and happy to be at school, and their procedures, and they know how things work, and the pride they take in their classrooms and the teachers. And Spurgeon, you could tell she just loves to show it off. So it was amazing. I also attended Cabazon, and Mr. Anderson was the same way, very proud of his school, took me in classrooms. Teachers just kept on doing what they were doing. It was great to see learning and progress. So I just want to say I appreciate all of them and all the teachers that allowed them to visit.
I took my birthday month very literal and I had fun this month. So I went to Central Elementary and Ms. Cole and Dr. Koskowicz walked me through. It was Good Friday, so I got to see all our kiddos testing, and it was just absolutely amazing to see how sweet these babies are and how well they know their stuff and how well behaved they are. Honestly, they are just, I had to give them kudos every single classroom I get through. Like, you are so much smarter than Mrs. Martinez, Laura, keep the hard work. And then I went over to Nicola Middle School where they were having Kona eyes because the kiddos made all the requirements for their backtrack. And that was amazing to witness. You would turn one way and another way, and all these kiddos just had their cup of Kona, which meant that all these kiddos had met the requirement. Attendance wise, grade, the work. These babies were having fun on Friday. I got to see kids very engaged in their classroom, learning and playing games and just very engaged with their teachers. Honestly, like these teachers are killing it in the classroom. These babies are so excited to be in the class while they're in there. Then I helped out with homecoming for the sophomore class. I helped ASB put together their captain show for football, and I ended up extremely sore. So the sophomore class election year, they told me that they were going to campaign for me, so that means Thank you for responding, Ms. Clark. I want to thank everyone for all the hard work. It, like Mr. Davis said, it shows. It definitely shows the difference from when I first started being a board member to now. So I truly want to thank you all from the bottom line. Thank you for showing up with the students in my district. Okay.
So I got to visit Cabazon, last week or excuse me, the week prior. And I got to see the wonderful changes that have been made since I was last there, that just upgrades to the outside playground and such, and it's amazing. The campus has just been beautified more than it already was. And I think Dr. Anderson is doing a wonderful job filling Mr. Baker's shoes. And I have to commend him because I've heard good things from his staff that it hasn't been chaotic. You know, with management changes, I know sometimes it can get a little crazy sometimes. But I've heard good things about Dr. Anderson, and I have to commend him for that. And I'm grateful for him welcoming me onto campus and all the teachers that let me walk around their classroom. And I know Ms. Kaiser and Ms. Porter are absolutely in love with their classes this year. They're doing wonderful and amazing things, and it was so good to see. So good to see all these cute little smiling faces that are eye level with me. That they really like to point out. I look forward to going to other sites soon, and I'm very grateful for all staff that is working here late, every board meeting, and everyone that does all the hard work that you do to get us the information that we need to be able to run the school and make the improvements that we have over these past 2 years, because we couldn't have done it without all of you. And I think we're definitely headed in the right direction, and it is due to all of your hard work, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you all very much.
Okay. All right, and I would, let's see, I have one note that. Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome again our new assistant principal, Mr. Worthington. I hope that it's a good fit for our school site, and that it's an easy transition for everybody. I wish them all the best. I want to give a few shout outs. So there is a security guard from Nicollet Middle School that walks our elementary students from Nicollet to Central, for those that are in band or orchestra. And I can't remember his name, but he is so attentive and kind. Make sure that the kids are walking on the sidewalk, very well organized. And so I really do appreciate that effort that our staff are doing to ensure that our kids are safe and have the opportunity for new work to learn new things, be exposed. Also, the security guard at Central by across the driveway. Is it Casada? He's amazing. Every morning when I drop off my kiddos, he waves at every car, and he literally manages the traffic, the car traffic, and our families and our kiddos. They make sure that they actually walk on the sidewalk. They don't do a little cut through the parking lot or anything like that. And I greatly appreciate that, because the safety of our kiddos is so important. So I really appreciate him and the other cross-board on the other side. They make a great team. So thank you so much to them. I have joined the learning with it, Harvard, and not so scheduled with the full site that will be with the game apparently. But I will catch up. I did two football games with my kiddos. I get so excited to go to them. We did the Veterans Appreciation and coming. It's always nice to meet the excitement because players trying to learn that culture and her husband, her Ellen, working the change. I see Mr. David down there, I see Mr. Baker. So it's great to see, that we're coming out and supporting the student. On our last game, I don't have a name of the student, but the student was in band and they did the national anthem for their saxophone. And it was amazing, like the talent that our students have. And I attended also the State of the City event with Mr. Baker and Mr. Harris, Mr. Page, and Schiller, and I can't remember right now. But it was amazing to see our student Olivia also sing the national anthem. Like she did amazing. Everyone was blown away by her talent. So I know we have amazing students in our district with amazing that care about our kids and want to see them succeed and excel and shine that positive one in district. So I really do appreciate all of you. Also, can't forget DI being a showcase. That's amazing. You provide us with a role. There's just so many great things. It's really exciting to see. And as always, I'm here to help. If there's any questions or anything, but very proud we have them created. Thank you. Item 12.1, future board. Do we have any future board?
I have a question. Do we know how many intervention coaches we have at each elementary site? I'm aware we have one in Cabazon, but I'm curious how many we have at each site because I feel like Cabazon can use another person because I know the one person for the ELA and the math, but I feel like they can use another one for ELA, one for math to help those students that are currently struggling. I heard we can discuss it.
Maybe a presentation of composition, yes, what they do at each site.
Lisa?
Thank you. Any other item? No? Okay. Item 14.1, adjourning meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion for Ms. Troutman to adjourn the meeting. All of the favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion passes 4-0. The meeting is adjourned at 9:20 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.